the Rockets could contend without James Harden. That is, those are words. I mean, those should not be taken lightly. If
Mhm.
you think about it, they have John Wall, they have DeMarcus Cousins, they have Christian Wood, they have Eric Gordon. They have a team, really, really good team. It's not as D'Antoni as it was. Obviously, we don't have D'Antoni anymore on the Houston Rockets, but it definitely is a team that does rely on a lot of shooting. They just beat their first team. They had 125 points. I mean, those are All-Star weekend numbers, but um, the Rockets really did look nice. John Wall had that spring in his step. Boogie Cousins had that spring in his step as well. He had that ACL injury and Achilles injury, so he has those two piled on. I just really really like this Houston team. Personally, I'm a big fan because of how the Rockets are built. I've loved John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins since their days back in college together, and have just really been excited to see them on the floor. And it was great seeing them.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts, Sam, on me saying that the Rockets could contend without James Harden? Because
Yeah.
those are big words.
So I'm pretty sure everyone that clicked on this saw the title. It's going to be something along the lines of overreacting to early preseason games, and that's exactly what we're doing here with this take. It is preseason; it's very easy to brush these games off, but we're looking deeper into it. John Wall had a spring in his step that we haven't seen in a little while, so that's good. And my motto is you can really only tell two things from preseason, and that's how a player recovered from an injury and if a rookie is the real deal or not. So definitely a good sign for John Wall coming back from an injury. I'm a little skeptical about this take, but I'm not 100% just throwing it out either, because the reason I'm skeptical is because John Wall and Bradley Beal never really contended, and that was in a much easier Eastern Conference, and LeBron stood in his path. Now he's in the Western Conference, and LeBron's also standing in his path there. So definitely, if John Wall can stay healthy, if DeMarcus Cousins can stay healthy, because he looked pretty nice too. He was running the floor. I know he had like a fast break dunk opportunity there. So like he was springy as well. He maybe not as athletic as he used to be, but John Wall looked nice. He was moving around well. So it kind of comes down to what can they get for Harden if they do try to trade him. If they can get a nice trade package, maybe. Well, I mean, we've discussed this. You could go back and check a lot of our content. We've covered the topic so many times, and we're probably gonna end up talking about it again tonight. Um, if they get something nice in return, if they get either another star player or a bunch of young assets, they could make some noise. I could see them maybe still keeping on that like 5 seed in the Western Conference, and once playoffs come around, who knows? We saw the Miami Heat make it all the way to the NBA Finals as a 5 seed. So I mean, at that point, you just have to have everything clicking at the right time.
Yeah, and if you look at their key players, they have those guys that have, I mean, playoff experience. These are
Mhm.
seasoned veterans who know what it takes to be successful and play at the highest level. If we do see John Wall at 100% and DeMarcus Cousins at 100%, imagine saying those words 5 years ago. Just think about it. Imagine saying John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins are on a team together when DeMarcus Cousins was, quite frankly, the best center in the NBA, and John Wall was in the competition for top 5 point guard. Those two at their best would have been incredible back then. If we see them now, because we haven't seen them in the NBA in quite some time. I believe John Wall hasn't
Mhm.
played for 2 years, and DeMarcus Cousins has had all these injuries since his Pelican uh, when he tore his Achilles with the Pelicans. If we
Mhm.
see these two bounce back and look like they did before these injuries, this team is so scary, Sam. I mean, I'm
It
looking
really
at them.
is.
Yeah, I'm looking at them, and I'm like, the pick and roll is probably going to be the one of the most dominant pick and rolls in the game of basketball. Quite frankly, I mean, the only one that I can see that's kind of up there would be the Nuggets with Murray and Jokic, but at the same time they run pick and pop way more, and DeMarcus Cousins
Mhm.
can shoot, um, so we can see that evolution as well. But I'm just excited to see him dominate in the post like he used to,
Yeah, I
get
was
those
gonna
like
say
40 point games.
probably the Lakers maybe a stronger pick and roll, because if you have LeBron as the the ball handler and Davis as a roll man. That's
Hmm.
the scariest one. But this would be pretty high up there if both guys are at 100% health. But that always comes down to, are you keeping Harden? Are you trading Harden? What can you get for Harden if you do trade him? I know Harden added a few more teams to his list this week, and we were trying so hard not to cover it, but it's so hard to just have big news like that come out and not talk about it. We've been talking about James Harden since October, when we were like the first ones predicting that he would want to go to Philly. And that's still pretty much number one on his list. But it seems like Daryl Morey is hesitant to trade one of the two stars in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And already said straight up, Kyrie and KD are off the table in any sort of James Harden trade. So that kind of knocks them out of contention. So what are we left with? We're left with the Bucks, who he just recently added, and we're left with the Heat, who he recently added. And did he have any other teams on that new short list?
Well, at the end of the day, the list is a list. The team can trade him to wherever
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they get the best package. Boston, for me, looks like a team that can send him a nice
Mm-hmm.
package, but for
Well, the
sure.
idea is he makes a list, and if your team is not on that list, you're going to be so scared to trade for him, for like, or else he'll throw another fit like he did in
Hmm.
Houston. So, like, I think only teams that he wants to go to would even be willing to send a package to Houston, because I don't know how many teams want to take that gamble to completely gut their roster and then have a guy that doesn't even want to be there.
All right, so let's talk about the cat in the
Mhm.
bag, Sam.